Car chases are dangerous and unpredictable. Viewer discretion advised.
I want to get some breaking news right now. We know a stolen vehicle is in the middle of a pursuit right now. It's westbound on the 60 freeway near the Santa Anita exit. So we're breaking into this live right now for you to see.
Yeah, it looks like they've now taken the streets here. This is at Verona Street in the Southgate area. You could see that SUV making its way through this residential area, blowing through some stop signs there. As we said, we know that police tried to stop this vehicle because they believe it is a stolen car. We don't know any details on how many people may be inside, but they continue to evade officers there, just kind of blowing through that intersection. And it's a Sunday night. There's people out and about enjoying their evening, and this can be a very dangerous situation at this point. We're not seeing, Gio, any police vehicles behind it. I don't know if our chopper pilot photographer there can maybe zoom out for us to see if any are following him, but we're not sure what agency tried to stop him just yet.
No, and what we're noticing, at least in comparison, because this is the same area, or at least a similar area to a pursuit when we were checking in just last week, as you notice here, pulling into an alleyway and sort of zooming around. It can't really tell if it's coming to a stop, and there it is right there. Driver coming out. Two, in fact, yes, but then reaching for the back seat. Looks like it was locked, now getting back into the driver's seat. But that second person,
it looked like a guy was in the driver's side, a girl was in the passenger side, and the driver got back in the vehicle while the woman there is she just got dropped off, and the driver got back in and is now headed back on the street here, Ferris Avenue and Telegraph. And
you have to wonder if that was perhaps someone who was already in the car beforehand, because we know that this is a stolen vehicle, so that means the driver was perhaps removed, and who knows, maybe that person was the initial driver, moved over. These are questions, obviously, that we're still trying to figure out. But there you see one cruiser, we just zoomed out and are now zooming back in, that was in pursuit, at least close behind. But this is still a very ongoing situation, and one that sort of took a turn there where we had a lot of questions with a full-on stop, someone exiting the passenger side, and then that driver just getting back in, and it looks like they might be the only person in that vehicle right now. Yeah,
it looks like maybe police weren't right behind it at the moment that they were able to get out. That woman got out of the car, and then the suspect got back in. Now you can see riding the median there, swerving around vehicles, a very dangerous situation. We do know it was a man. He got out here. You'll see this video. They pull into this parking spot. You see the driver get out, and then a woman get out from the passenger. He tries to open the back seat there, it looks like. Not sure what he was going for.
And she walked into the building in front there very, very briefly before walking back out. You see it in the frame there again. So this is where the confusion sort of lies, is that it's hard to judge what sense of urgency or what exactly is going through someone's mind in that moment, but kind of stepped out of the car, went briefly into a doorway or an alleyway, and then came back out almost as if to see what was going on with the car. So anyway, I was going to bring up this point earlier to you, Leslie, which is the Southgate area is similar to a pursuit that we checked in with at this time last week, and that just making wildly different turns and speeds. Remember, that one was a lot more casual in its cadence, which is to suggest that on these surface streets it was going a lot slower. This one is just blowing through intersections at a speed that it's at least double what we saw. And Gio,
we want to bring in Dave Avila, retired LAPD pilot. Okay, we don't have Dave Avila yet. We are trying to get him on the line with us to see if we can get any insight. Many times he's able to give us just a little more information. Looks like Dave Avila is now on the phone. Dave, can you hear us?
Hello, Leslie, Gio. Yes, I am taking a look at this thing here. Oh, this guy's speeding. He's going pretty good now.
Yeah, Dave, any idea about the situation right now? We've watched that driver get out of the car. There was a passenger that got out also. We do believe it's a stolen vehicle. Are you hearing anything from your sources?
No, I haven't gotten anything on that, but yeah, it's been verified. It is a stolen vehicle. I did see him leave the lady out, the young girl there. She went into the house, so obviously she lives there or has relatives. Of course, what they'll do is they'll send the black and white there to, to get the information from her. This will be a named suspect before we know it. But we got the area. I believe that's Air 24, if I'm not mistaken, the sheriff's. So the black and white will stay on them. But, you always got to ask yourself in a situation, it's what's he running from that he's so desperate.
Yeah, and my question here is, what was he trying to get from that back seat? Was he
Right.
getting ready to make a run for it and then changed his mind? Or was there something more dangerous there in the back seat that he reached for? But at this point, we don't know. We just know that that gentleman ended up getting back in that driver's seat, taking off on what appears to be a stolen vehicle. And you'll see this video again, Gio, is
Yep.
he pulls up to what looks like a business parking lot there. A woman gets out of the passenger side. He reaches for the back seat. Looks like he pulls on the handle there.
Yep, didn't open.
Then gets back in the driver's seat. And I don't know if that woman was going to get back in the car. You see her kind of go towards the door.
And this is the part where he opens the door, the driver's side door again, slows down, closes it back up, and then takes off again. So this is where most of our questions lie, as to what exactly happened there, as you're taking a look live from Sky Cow right now at this ongoing pursuit, and especially with regards to how that ties back into the original inception of this pursuit, Dave, with regards to it being a stolen vehicle. So was it stolen perhaps from that woman or from someone else, and then something happened? I mean, this is just sort of the chaos of the situation right now as we keep an eye on this pursuit as to what's going on.
Driving on the wrong side of the road there.
Yeah, it's certainly desperate, but yeah, I mean, as far as the female, I mean, she seemed to be kind of calm. Usually, when we've all seen it, when it's a carjacking suspect, they get out of the car and they run. And they definitely don't come back now, unless there's a child in the back seat. There's so many possibilities here that we have to consider. So this will be one that they'll stay on them. They'll monitor every 24, I believe it is. So they'll keep broadcasting the direction, location, anything that they see, anything that's thrown out of the vehicle, possibly, but anything like that. So. But I think they're going to go ahead and stay with this. I don't know if they'll go into surveillance or not, but we'll see.
Yeah, and they'll learn a lot more, hopefully, if they're able to speak to that woman. She did look rather young, just from Sky Cal, the view we got there, was carrying a backpack. And you're right, Dave, many times they may have a relationship with the driver. They may know them, but they may not actually. We've seen it in many cases that passenger does not want to be in the vehicle. They're not really in cahoots with this driver continuing the pursuit. And we've seen that in several cases. In fact, a chase a couple weeks ago where everything was being live streamed from inside. You could hear the passenger arguing with the driver to pull over. Now, of course, we don't know if that was the case here. We just simply know that a woman got out of that passenger side, and she didn't get back in.
And right now, this pursuit's still ongoing on these streets, going right alongside the train there. One thing of note, Dave, that we were pointing out just before you jumped on with us was how this is in similar area, the Southgate area, bordering right there with Huntington Park. From the last pursuit when we checked in with you, it's similar in the sense of being on these surface streets and dodging traffic left and right, blowing through intersections, stop signs. But the big difference here being, aside from the fact that it's a stolen vehicle, and we saw that interaction with the woman who was in the car as well, is that the speeds here are just radically different in the sense of it's not this typical cadence of slowing down 25 to at most 40 miles an hour. It looks like this man is just zooming through, and that's where the danger really gets heightened, does it not?
Oh, absolutely. You got their kids are out playing. Some kids aren't even in school yet, so they'll be out and about. Luckily, we haven't seen any pedestrians out there, so that's a big plus for us. But as far as the desperation goes, I mean, this, we don't know about this suspect either. Is it a first, second striker? Is he looking at going back in the joint, or is he, because it's a little bit faster than normal. And when the cameraman went ahead and pulled back, I didn't see any black and white on him, because they try to de-escalate the system. That's why they go into surveillance. But if they are, it's not working. So at some point, they'll probably go ahead and re-engage the pursuit. But that would be up to the watch commander, the incident commander.
Yeah, I was going to say the incident commander is really the one that has their finger on the decisions of what will happen with these pursuits. And that's the person that's closely watching, right? If this is getting too dangerous for the public, if it's getting too dangerous for officers. And right now it looks like all cruisers have pulled off. So I'm wondering if producers or our assignment desk here can confirm whether or not this is now turned into tracking mode. or if this is still considered a pursuit here. But while they figure that out, Dave, we still have you here on the line, and that's the case, right? Many times the incident commander will try to back off so that this suspect is able to just you start to follow the rules of the road at least.
Yeah, exactly. And that's the whole point. And the sheriff's called it surveillance mode, and that's exactly what kind of looks like it's working. He actually slowed down some, so that's a big plus for the citizens. It's all about citizen safety, and he's still blowing lights and stop signs, but I won't say he slowed down. Of course not, but eventually, he is kind of maintaining a little bit more. I believe the adrenaline's calmed down a little bit in him.
Right. And the other thing to note here, to Dave, is that this is stretched now up to Boyle Heights. So we've made some distance here from when we first initially checked in with this pursuit. And you're right. The car is still speeding to the point that we have been noticing, but not to the degree at which we first chimed in. It's now, we're going under an overpass, and you always have to wonder if this is a moment where things might stop. And okay, so the car's coming out the other end there, it seems like. As we try to maintain the eye, yes, okay, so it is looking like it's right there. And
there you go. They tried to swerve.
Down.
Well, they tried to swerve. It looked like they were going to make a right turn there, and instead they decided not to and continue on. But we're getting a better look when we zoom out there, that you can still see that LASD sheriff's bird, that helicopter overhead here. You saw that person, this driver here, make a U-turn and heading right back where they came from. It's giving me the indication, Dave, that this person possibly knows this area since they're staying right in this Boyle Heights, East LA community.
Yeah, I agree with you, Leslie. And we've seen that before. They like hanging around areas that they know. He was going to make that right turn back there and decided not to for some reason. So he must know the area.
Yeah, Dave, I don't want to cut you off here, but it looks like that driver went under this overpass here and is not making it on the other side, right?
No, I didn't see it either. And it looks like we're trying to keep it wide to see if we either see that driver perhaps bail out on foot or otherwise come out the other end. But yeah, no, we have not seen it as of yet right now.
But just because we don't see that vehicle, Dave, yeah, they do have that LA sheriff's helicopter in the sky. They're able to get a good look, right, and see if that person starts to take off.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. We also got a good video for them on when he let out the young lady. So we got a great description on them.
You know what, Dave? It looks like they did end up making it on the other side. If this is the vehicle, it looks like the gentleman, the driver, was wearing a white shirt.
Wearing a white shirt, yeah.
So it looks like this is the car, the stolen vehicle that police have been pursuing. The driver is going to continue on now, getting on the 101 north here from the 60. So now picking up on the freeway there. We know that this started with LA County sheriffs. They then told CHP to take over when the pursuit got on the 60. And now we're back on the freeway here. We haven't seen any black and whites. The sheriff's department riding behind this car, but you wonder if CHP is going to pick this up now.
Yeah, we had a pursuit. We didn't quite make it to TV last night where LASO requested the CHP, and the CHP said unable at this time. So we'll see if they're going to request them. The other thing I'm thinking is that, when he parked underneath that bridge and maybe he did remove something out of the back, some type of evidence or something that didn't belong to him. So there's, maybe a weapon. We don't know yet. But it's definitely going to be a felony suspect, so we'll just keep an eye on them. Meanwhile, we don't see the black and whites. They're in the vicinity. Air units putting out the location of the suspect and possible direction. So we'll see if LA City joins in.
Yeah, and the car jumping back on off an exit here and coming into Central City East in the middle of the intersection, now making another U-turn and jumping back off. And obviously in that moment where this vehicle back in Boyle Heights, making a right here. Pardon me. But we obviously had that same question, or at least I did, Dave, of going under the overpass. And given our experience just from checking in with you a week ago, was okay, now all of a sudden the possibility of perhaps switching cars or getting other people involved, now that comes top of mind, given that we saw it so recently.
Right, exactly. Yeah, exactly. So, you know, the whole intent of this suspect is to try and find a location to dump the vehicle and find a hiding place. But looks like he's just, right now, he's not really sure where he's going. But, you know, here we get on the freeway going back to an area I believe that he's probably familiar with.
Yeah, heading back on the 101 South, giving all indications now that this suspect is confused or really does not have a plan here or is trying to buy time. Right, Dave? We saw this last weekend. That driver kept going in circles pretty much until they had what seemed like formulated a plan to get into another vehicle. So these suspects sometimes, they're trying to buy time, but in the end, we know that pursuit ended with all those people in custody.
Yes, everybody was in custody. 3 in our vehicle and I believe 2 in the other vehicle. We had 2 pursuits back to back on that. Kind of very unusual. But
pulling into
this guy's getting off on.
Pulling onto a gas station right now, very similar to just this week. So the car's coming to a stop, reversing a bit. Difficult to see now underneath the roof of where all the pumps are, but there's the vehicle again. Okay, trying to see what exactly they're trying to do, but it speaks to that confusion of just sort of going in circles back onto the street here, essentially where they started after pulling back on the 101 South and here on surface streets. At the moment, when we get a chance, I also want to, in case anybody is just joining us or checking in, pull up that video of what happened earlier, because that's been the big crux of this entire pursuit, Dave, which is this is earlier. When we first checked in, you see this vehicle pull into sort of a parking lot adjacent to other cars. You see a woman get out of the passenger side, go inside briefly. The man gets back into the driver's seat after pulling on that passenger door behind him, didn't open. She's sort of casual, not terribly seemingly concerned. Who's to say? That's obviously part of the questions that we're asking.
Gee, I'm going to stop you here because we're watching the vehicle. If we can take this full live. They're in a parking lot now. Looked like he was going to park. Now he's reversing here. And we're going to watch the next move. He went into this shopping parking lot here and is just completely reversing to once again drive
within the same parking lot.
Within the same parking lot. He's going to park here and get out of the vehicle there. Oh. Take a look. He's going to take it. Yep, run for it now.
Taking off on foot. Trying to see what's in
it looks like hand. Maybe a cell phone, but I'm not really too sure. See, one hand he's holding up what looks like his pants. The other hand possibly... It looks like a cell phone.
It does look like a cell phone. I had this similar thought. But
and he's putting it to his ear, so I'm going to assume maybe it's a cell phone there.
And perhaps even calling for help. Maybe there's a friend out there. But, Dave, this goes back to your point about, you know, this is where the surveillance mode sort of kicks in, is that you back off and see until they stop. And now he's here on foot. And it, in a way, it makes the pursuit a little easier because now you're not worried about speeds. But we're going to keep an eye on this guy as he's just kind of doing his best to run away.
Yeah, making his way through this, it looks like residential area, possibly apartments that we passed here. It does look like he's trying to speak to someone on the phone. And he very much knows he's being followed at this point because he is booking it at this point. Looks like, does he have 2 things?
Yeah, there's something, it almost looked like a belt or something initially, but it wasn't entirely sure. But yes, it did look like something else was in his hand besides that phone. But it just... go ahead, Dave.
The one thing that has me kind of worried... I'm sorry there, Gio, but...
Oh, a dog now following him.
The one thing that kind of has me worried is that he's holding his... It looks like he's holding his belt buckle or what. Yeah. And then, so I don't know if he had a weapon in his waistband that he didn't want to drop.
Yeah.
Always thinking the worst thing, you know, and yeah, he's definitely talking to somebody saying, here I come, here's where I'm at, here's where I'm going. can you pick me up like we did the other night?
Yeah,
you
and
see that
Davey took off his shirt.
Right, took off his shirt. You see the belt sort of dangling around his waist there, and then what looks to be his phone in his left hand.
Oh,
Hard to
there
see,
you
and
go.
there you go. Yep.
An LA Sheriff's deputy, it
Pulling
looks like
out
he's
a
taking out
taser.
the taser, telling him to get down here.
And it might have, right underneath the tree. Yep, there you go.
The air unit was, like I said, the units are in the vicinity. You can't see them, but the air unit's given the direction and description of the suspect.
Yeah.
And he took off his white shirt.
Doesn't look like the suspect is
hey,
complying here, Dave. It does look like maybe that taser is in him there, getting on his stomach, putting his hands.
It was hard to tell if it was initially used, given that it was underneath a tree, but now it looks like they have him under control and being able to be put under arrest without much incident afterward. But at least to see there was that stress, to Dave's point, that was going there, because you see someone's dog chasing after the suspect.
Yeah,
the
you
video
see
there
it.
on the right
It's going
side.
to happen right now. Someone's dog runs right up along that suspect as he's trying to get away there. He ran a pretty good distance, taking off his shirt, looking like he was talking to someone. We didn't see it, but there was an LA Sheriff's deputy on his tail the whole time. Yep. And Dave, we're seeing one deputy. Many times we see at least two. It just makes me think how dangerous of a situation for that deputy, but also how heroic for them to continue on and be able to get this suspect into custody.
Yeah, that might be a CHP officer there.
Oh, a CHP officer, yeah.
They run one-man car. I'm sorry, they run one officer vehicles. We have female deputies out there working by themselves also, and CHP officers. So luckily this suspect complied. I think he was just too beat to put up a fight. But yeah, this worked out real good on our end.
Yeah, truly. And you're right on that. A correction, it was not sheriff's. It looks like that is a CHP badge there on his arm. It looks like the suspect dropping something, still holding that phone in his hand and trying to text. It looks like he's texting.
Yeah, while handcuffed. Seems like, and they're right there getting it taken away. There was a moment there where it looked like the suspect was talking to the officer, and there's another one there. So some backup has come in, 2, 3, and looks like we're finally going to get an end to this pursuit, a crazy pursuit that started after, still a lot of questions to be asked, given the fact that when we first broke in with you, and Dave, when we had you on the line, it started with, we knew this was a stolen vehicle, and then there was a woman who was dropped off somewhere. Still don't know the relationship between these two, have no idea what happened there, especially given that there was sort of a back and forth between opening some car doors, pulling out, pulling back in, and then getting, taking off on this pursuit, and now ending after parking. And this is a part that also led to more questions, was leaving the vehicle in an empty parking space, right? Going into a parking lot, dropping it off, and then taking off, as opposed to, maybe just dropping it off on the side of the road. But
my thought, Dave, is that he probably wanted to remain incognito. If he got in between as many cars as possible, maybe no one would notice. But they oftentimes forget that there is always an eye in the sky. Dave, we are going to wrap up on this pursuit now that police do have this pursuit suspect in custody. But we want to thank you for your time, as always.
No problem, Leslie. Gio, it's always a pleasure. You both take care now. Be safe.
Dave, thank you so much.